Hey Mac, how you doing? It's Friday. It's Chat with Mac Day, and hello everyone. I'm Nadeem at PCSN. We've got Mac here, and we're
Hey,
just gonna chit chat a little bit, just catch up on the week. So how you doing, Mac?
I'm tired. It's been, I'm really, really tired. I don't know. My sleep has been horrible, so I'm trying to catch up on it this weekend. It's
Yeah,
been bad. Yeah.
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I've been getting sleep. I mean, as far as sleep quality and the number of hours of sleep, I'm getting it. People are not bugging me in the middle of the night, but for some reason in the mornings I don't want to get up. So so I had this little app, that kind of wakes me up in a 30-minute window when I'm in my lightest mode of sleep. And for the last 2 days, it told me I need to get up at 5 o'clock. Normally, I get up at 5:30. So I was like, no. So I changed it. So this morning, I changed it. I told it, don't try to second guess me. Just wake me up at 5:30, right? But I
Right.
still didn't want to get up. I don't know. So I've got myself trained where the alarm goes off and then I'm in bed for 8 minutes. And I don't know why, but it's always 8 minutes. I,
Wow.
I don't know, but something weird going on. Maybe it's the alignment of the sun or something. I don't know. So how has your week been, Matt? I mean, have you had any connectivity issues? I know there was that big thing going on with some providers.
It was bad. That was another part of it that was making it real exhausting. I use I don't do I want to say the company. Well, everybody I use T-Mobile for my regular phone, and I use Verizon 5G for my overall internet. And when I tell you that day was absolutely, I was pretty much done with the day because known not working to make calls out, my internet was completely just shot for most of the day until they can figure out what was going on. So that outage was horrible.
Yeah. Well, even right now, while you were talking, you kind of froze up for a little bit. So I hope
I
it doesn't
froze
go
up,
back
of
down.
course.
But yeah, so I mean, it's been pretty interesting. I'm over at my mom and dad's, and as soon as I arrived over here this morning, I connected and the internet went down, and it's been up and down all day. So
All
right
day.
now I'm actually connected through my cell phone. I'm using a personal hotspot right now because the internet is totally down. And I called them in, and they said, they talked to the local office, and there's something going on with one of their servers or something. I hope it hadn't been hacked or some crap like that. I don't
That-
know, but
well, it's funny you should mention that because they thought, we kind of talked about that, they thought it was a DDoS attack
yeah.
that might have happened. And maybe they're not telling us that's what happened, but it's widely believed that was it.
Yeah, well, somebody's pissed China off, and they've just got too many people with nothing to do, right? They're either making widgets or they're hacking other computers. I don't
Man,
know.
it's nuts.
So, what are we going to talk about today? I know, it's we would kind of pick a top. Well, I'll let you pick a topic, and we just talk about it. So what are we going
Yeah.
to talk about?
Well, let's talk about all things technology, of course. But I know the audience has heard us talk about this before, but now it's been further amplified as far as the importance now of investing in your infrastructure as far as your business is concerned. I want to read an excerpt real quick from Forbes magazine. It talks about this. It was saying that the pandemic has underlined a point unavoidably and incontrovertibly. At the same time, it has called into question the extent of future demand for office buildings and airports, and posing questions of their sustainability and suitability for real asset role of a long-term, low-risk, light-touch bet. The result was and has been a further spike in digital infrastructure investment. Companies are starting to figure out unfortunately, that we need to put some money into our digital infrastructure. And so for us here at PCSN, my job day in, day out is to call on companies and get them to, sit down with us, have an assessment, and figure out, hey, where are we deficient now? At which you, Nadeem the Prophet, kind of talked about was at some point companies are going to have to figure this out. So I want you to kind of expound on that, because now I think people are listening. They have no choice.
Yeah. So let me go at it at a slightly different angle. It's the same problem, so I'm going to attack it at a slightly different angle. Couple of things. If a company is engaged with an IT provider, that IT provider needs to understand the business and get some insight into the business and the future goals of that business.
Yeah.
And that's why you've been calling, our customers and companies out there trying to set up meetings so that we can do a review. And what that review does is it kind of helps us as an IT provider understand where the business is going to be going in the near future and the long term, so we can kind of align IT and make sure that IT keeps up with the pace of business. So at the end of the day, that's what our goal is. It's to make sure that the investments that the companies are doing are going to keep up with the growth of the business. Now, it can be either a faster growth or slower growth, or some industries are shrinking. Like I know some of our customers in the oil and gas field are kind of hurting, and so they're shrinking. So we need to make sure that the investment in IT kind of tallies up with where the business is heading, and that's why we need to do these these reviews. Now you use the term quarterly reviews. I try not to use a term like that, so that we're not putting a time frame on that, right?
That's a good point.
So for a lot of businesses, for some of our larger customers, where it's a very fast-paced industry, it is quarterly. I mean, it has to be quarterly. I don't think we have any customers out there that we're doing a monthly review on. That'll be just too much. I mean, right? So the faster-paced industries, we recommend a quarterly review. For pretty much everybody else, it's an annual review, right? So now, what does the review do? So the review is to kind of show management what their IT has been doing, what their IT can do, and understand from management what their business goals are, so that we can make sure that the IT is going to do what they want the business to do. It's like, we don't want to get caught with, in the middle of something, to use the term, with our pants down, right? It's, I remember one time, and this happened a while back, but one of our customers, they're still a customer, we used to do the same thing. We've been doing this for years and years. And in our review, we had recommended to the customer that their hardware was aging, and we needed to get rid of or replace some of the hardware that was really not supported anymore. And the customer did not understand what the term end of life means. It's like, if you cannot find parts to fix a piece of hardware, and if that piece of hardware is critical to your business, you don't want to keep that piece of hardware deployed. You want to get rid of that. You want to replace it with something better, because it never fails. It's like I tell people, my riding buddies, talking about motorcycles a little bit. So I tell my riding buddies, always carry a flat fix repair kit with you, because if you are carrying it, you will not have a flat. If you're
Right.
not carrying it, you will have a flat, and it never fails. Whenever you don't carry a toolkit with you, you need that toolkit. If you have it with you, you never need it. So now, in this specific customer's case, they kind of, poo-pooed us off, and they were like, they didn't take a recommendation. Bottom line, the server went down. Now, I mean, they make about, I want to say, on a good week, they can go around $250,000-$300,000 in a week. I mean, this is they're rolling. So so now all of a sudden the owner calls me and says, hey, so and so machine went down, and I'm like, oh, the machine that we talked about. And he was like, oh, yeah, I know. Well, we need to get it going. We need to get it going like ASAP because we're losing money by the hour. And I was like, yes, you are. But and I think this was like around some kind of holiday. So we were short on people, but I was like, okay, well, let me go down there to the site and let's figure out what's going on. So I went over there, the machine had like some RAID controllers, some hard drives, and the RAID controller had a problem. Basically, it kind of, some of the stuff burnt up in there, and we couldn't find parts for it. So now all of a sudden, we need to get a replacement. We did find one in a warehouse in Fort Worth, and the owner of the business had somebody drive that piece of hardware from Fort Worth to Houston, got it here while I waited at their office. We got the server going. Now, the server room is totally closed off. There's no windows or anything. And, I wasn't wearing a watch at that time, and I don't wear anything. This is a recent thing for me, the watch. I just used to carry my phone, and that's how I look at time. So I was, working on the server, and I was deep down in it, and I wasn't even looking at. So finally I got done, and I called the owner up, and I was like, okay, you're good to go. I've retrieved most of the data that was retrievable, and some of the data that was not retrievable, it's gone. We have to go to backups. So the owner was pleased, and they were up and running. So the money stream started coming in, but I didn't realize I was working on that server for 3 nights straight.
Wow.
But the thing is that we got the server going. Had they heeded our call and taken our recommendation back when we recommended it, all this downtime, the loss of revenue, everything could have been avoided. The frustration, not to mention the guy, and he was one of the managers, he had to drive that server down from Fort Worth because they just couldn't rely on putting it on a plane and then somebody over here picking it up. It was like some kind of holiday, I forget which holiday, but so that's the thing. If you're and if you're using a third-party IT provider besides us, and they are not doing these reviews, they are not making these recommendations, then something is wrong.
Yes.
You need to find somebody who will do these reviews, and kind of it's like right sizing a ship. It's like you do these reviews, and on the IT side, we figure out where the business is going, and on the business side, management figures out what the IT is going through and what the IT is doing. And I think one of the little fringe benefits that we get out of this is that management understands what we've been doing, and simple things like we go over some facts and figures, and this is really small 2-3 page document with nice graphs and stuff, so visually we can show management what we've been doing. Things like maybe how many patches we've deployed, maybe how many threats we've curbed, maybe how many threats were avoided. Just simple facts like that. We try to show management so they can kind of figure out what's happening. And it's always interesting to see management's reaction when we kind of talk about, well, look at this graph. This is how the CPU is spiking, and this is how the threats are going up. So they kind of tally that and say, oh, okay, so our hardware was busy doing something at this point because this vector went up, and that's why this vector went up as well. So it's really eye-opening for management to and it gives them a little appreciation of what we do. We are like doctors, right?
That's true.
By the time somebody comes to us, they need help bad. They're not feeling good. They're sick because of something, and they waited too long. So we want to get ahead of that and kind of prevent that, which is better than cure something, right? Prevention is always better than a cure.
Better than cure.
What this review does is it kind of helps everybody get aligned so that we can prevent bad things from happening. And it's very hard sometimes to explain that to management until they've gone through an issue, and then we've come back and said, oh, well, this is why we need those reviews. And I've seen, like the example that I gave you, that guy now, we tell him, hey, this is what we recommend, and he's on it. He's like, yep, let's do it. Because he's been through that. He's felt the pain.
Yes.
And one of the things that I always tell people over here, our engineering and everybody is, we don't want to make a recommendation unless it makes sense. Yeah. Right. So I don't want to, just go out and sell somebody something just for the sake of selling it. Yeah. Right. I want to provide them some value. And, the thing is, if you do business right, the money is something that comes later. It will, that's like, think of it as a fringe benefit. Don't focus on money. If you start focusing on money, it's not going to come. Forget about the money. Provide a good service, and the money will come because people start to get to know you, and it just gets out there. So that's one of the things that I try to tell people. Look, I don't want to get rich. You don't want to get rich. Let's just focus on what we like doing. We've actually gotten rid of a few customers, and they could have been very lucrative customers, but the synergy wasn't there. We didn't enjoy working with them, and if that if that synergy is not there and it's not fun to work on on a network or a certain project, then why do it? Life's too short, right?
That's true.
So the thing is that reviews is the starting point. Unless we do that review, unless we from the IT side understand where the business is going, we're just shooting in the dark.
That's true.
If we don't see the target, we can't target it. We can't focus on it. So we're definitely going to miss it. At least show us our target, and then let us try to aim at that, right? And that's what the review does, is it kind of allows us to aim at a target, gives us a target to aim for. And it's, right now I can say probably maybe, a lot of our customers we are doing business. You're reaching out to everybody out there trying to schedule, and I understand. Right now with the pandemic stuff happening and all of that, it's harder to get a face-to-face meeting. It's harder to do it physically. So we've kind of started doing some of the remote meetings as well. So the reviews we can do remotely. We can do some of those things. But I prefer to do them, face to face, just because, it's a lot of it is like body language. I like when I'm talking to somebody and when I explain to something, hey, this is what keeps me up at night. Why does it not keep you up? It's your business. So I want to see the reaction of what are they saying. And there's been instances where I've been sitting across from management and or the owner, and they just said, hey, Nadeem, this is all well and good, but I'm X years old, and in another few years I want to sell the business. I want to retire. So I'm like, well, good. Now you've given me a target. So now I can align IT to that. So now I can make IT to where maybe it will help you sell the business easier, and it's not like, a huge capital expense anymore.
That's true.
I can steer in that direction. So that's what, some of the things that we like to know. And it's hard for a lot of, CEOs and presidents to understand that why does the IT company need to know that we're going to sell the business? Oh, it's, don't tell anybody, don't tell the IT guys. Well, it's a good thing to tell us, because then we can kind of steer IT in the right direction. We can make your company more valuable if we understand where you want to go.
That's true.
There are certain things that can be done to make it more valuable, to make it easier to sell. And we've gone, a lot of our customers have either sold to larger companies, been bought out by larger companies, just looking at future and wanting to retire and things like that. And of course, if somebody's thinking, I've been offered, companies have reached out to me if we want to sell, and there's like, but I'm always like, no, this is my hobby. I like doing this. I don't want to sell. Why would I want to sell? But yeah, there are a few IT companies, over the years that went crazy. There are a lot of them are out of business now, but they went crazy on a spending spree, and they wanted to buy all these businesses, and basically what it was they wanted to buy the clientele of other IT companies.
Basically,
right? That's all they wanted to buy. They didn't care what the service level was. They didn't care, what the customer expectations were. They just wanted to buy those clients. But it's nowadays I don't have time to deal with that, so I just tell those companies off. But in the day, I used to have fun with them, just to see what they were into and what they were wanting and what they were offering. But it's the same thing with any business. You have some goals in mind. You know where you want to take your business. And as the leader of that company, you need to make sure that all the delegates know their part. And unless you do that review, IT's not going to know their part. And then, that's like you want to take the ship over here, but one little guy's trying to steer it over there. It's just not going to work, right? So that's the thing. Reviews are very important. And this pandemic has really kind of opened the eyes and mind of management out there, of companies, that some of the companies needed to invest in infrastructure more than they did. Some of the companies, like there are still some customers of ours where we had made recommendations of installing different routers and firewalls, and there's been talk with certain customers for redundant links that they were just using up too much bandwidth, and they needed some redundancy because it's a mission critical business. And now they understand that, so now they're like, well, okay, if everybody was working from the office and the servers were sitting in the office, connectivity wasn't critical. Well, now half of the people working remotely, if that connectivity breaks, work is not getting done. Nope. So now they understand that that connectivity is really important. The good thing is that on the horizon we have five technologies like 5G out there. So we can use fiber as the primary connectivity, and then you have 5G as a backup. So that's an option that we can do now. So things are looking good. I've been I've been doing this for so many years, and it is still amazing the pace of advancement in IT.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember there was a time when somebody, I think it was the like two CEOs ago, I think it was a CEO of Intel or somebody, and he says, well, there is no innovation that can happen anymore. We've innovated and figured out everything that we need to figure out, and it was like, how wrong was he? And I knew he was wrong
Very.
back when he said it. But the thing is, it's one of those things that, as far as technology goes, the more we learn and understand, the more we find out that we don't know anything. I mean, it's a small fraction of the universe that we. I mean, we're like ants digging a hole, and we don't even understand the human standing over us, ready to stomp on us, right? but yeah, so the moral of the story is, you need to be talking to your IT teams on a routine basis. Give the teams some insight, some direction on where the business is headed, so they can make sure that the backbone of your company can take the company where it needs to go. And truly, IT is the backbone of business in this day and age. I mean, if I remember not too long ago, there were businesses out there where if their IT systems went down, they were like, oh, no problem, we'll go to the old school way, we'll do stuff manually, and they do paper tickets and whatever. And now it's like, with redundancy and stuff, they're like, no, we can't do that. If we do that, we lose track of our figures that we're catching, because we're doing analysis and assessments on that. So now they have redundant systems in place, and so that part is gone. They don't need to worry about going back to paper tickets, because the part of the what we're doing, what IT has allowed us to do, is to capture all this data. We call it big data. Capture all this data and then do analysis on it, and then figure out the trends, so we can kind of anticipate the future. And that's the name of the game, is trying to anticipate as much as we can. That's the reviews, and Mac, you're doing a great job. Keep it up. Keep talking to people. Keep trying to get these reviews set up. Even though I know right now it's tough, and I mean, your job is tough to begin with, right? but it's important to have these reviews. I mean, a lot of times when I'm working on a specific technical issue, I get blinders on, and I'm just focused on that one issue, and I don't have to worry about anything. But you keep me on track, that so I don't miss the big picture, right? And I'm trying to get out of the trenches myself, so I can keep an eye on the big picture. But being my passion what it is, I sometimes I just get caught up in it. But yeah, so the reviews are very important for any business out there. And we try to do like an ongoing review internally for our processes and things like that. I mean, like just now, not to give out too much information, but one of our main line of business applications that we use. Today I've been, I've had my blinders on, and I've been working on switching everything from manually assigning, processes to machines, to doing it via policy. And the whole reason for this is to minimize human error. For example, let's say you're bundling machines that have the word management somewhere on that machine's description. Well, if a human is typing in the word management and they miss an E in there, that machine is not going to get classified correctly. So if you can do that via policy, that is always going to get classified correctly. So that's what I've been doing today, is pushing some of our processes that we had humans doing I'm trying to move it to do it via policy, so it's automated. Less work, less repetitive work for humans, less chance of error, and we get more accurate information. Now, in doing this, there was an interesting find because it kind of was a learning experience for me because there was an error that I found. So this is the first day that I've started doing this, and on the first day, I found a human error where one of the machines was supposed to alert us when a certain threshold is reached. It did not because a human failed. And when I applied the same deal via policy, I got that alert. And I've already reached out to the customer and told them, hey, look at that hard. So this is a non-managed customer, so they do their own stuff, but we're just monitoring for them. So I reached out to them and told them, hey, you need to look at so and so machine because pretty soon it's going to need this thing replaced because of this policy. Now that's why I like to automate things and take the human factor out of it, because eventually it's going to happen. I mean, even myself, I make mistakes. So, I don't blame anybody. It's nobody's fault. It's just we're all human. And if we can, do these things via policy, it's all the better. So that's what I've been doing, and that's why I look tired, because my head has been in the computer all day long.
I saw that. I was like, wow, the Dean looks kind of tired there. But yeah, now that makes sense.
but yeah, so it's been interesting, and I don't know, I know our techs and engineers are probably not going to watch this video, but guys, hey, I appreciate what you do. Sometimes I kind of bite your head off, and I realize it after I do it, and I shake my head, and I was like, why did I do that? I had my own problem, but I didn't have to, bite somebody else's head off, right? So guys, if you're watching, if any of our internal people watch this, that's why I don't mean anything by it. I love what you guys do. I mean, hey, we do all we do because of you guys. So, sometimes I get like cranky, and it's not your fault. It's just, I'm cranky. and I guess the older I get, the crankier I get.
God, trust me. I hit 43, and my daughter is like, it's this morning. She's like, you seem kind of cranky. And I'm like, yeah, it's getting there. It's definitely getting there.
But no, really, our techs and engineers are some of the greatest out there. They always have my back. I mean, like I said, we all make mistakes, but they will always help me out. I mean, I see, some of the guys, I see them working at 12, 1 at night, which they don't need to be doing that, but they do that, because they enjoy doing it. And I don't mean by if I get cranky, it's nothing personal. It's just I'm just cranky, So just say it. Hey, Nadeem, why are you cranky today? But no, but I think in the long run, implementing things via policy is really going to give us that little edge that other IT companies don't have. Because if companies are still doing these processes manually, there is going to be that human error. And if we can do the same thing via policy, via a machine, then that error is not going to be there. So that's that's the thing. And it's like anything. If you can automate it, like I say, let the humans do the thinking part. Anything that's repetitive, automate it and let a machine do it, right? Because a machine is not going to think. A machine cannot think. That's why we call it artificial intelligence. It's not real intelligence. So when you need real intelligence, bring in a human. And when you need anything else, let a machine do it.
Awesome.
Yeah. So hey, Mac, I think we've taken up a lot of time. I lose track of time when I'm when we are talking. I think it's been 30 minutes already, but
It has been.
but yeah, but I hope you have a great weekend. So, what are you gonna do over the
You too.
weekend? You got anything planned?
Not a thing. I honestly, per my daughter here, my daughter's like, Dad, you need to sleep this weekend. She's been, kids, she's 23. She's not a kid, but she's been like, why are you up so late? And I tell her, I said, I have no clue, but I'll make up for it this weekend. So that's what I'm going to do.
I look forward to the weekends. I wake up late and I do something a little different. I try not to get too involved in computers, just I don't want to get burnout or anything. Not that I will, but so this weekend I'm going to work on. I've been wanting to do this, so I need to redo the suspension on the RV. And I reached out to an RV place, and they were going to give me a quote, and it was going to happen last Tuesday this week, but it never happened. The parts didn't arrive, blah, blah, blah. So I said, screw it. I'm going to order the parts, and I'm going to do it myself.
Wow.
Now, the parts are not going to arrive by this weekend, but this weekend I'm going to remove a lot of the old sealant on the RV, and I'm going to put new sealant on there, and then I'm going to clean the RV. I'm going to polish it, and then I'm going to ceramic coat it. And the reason I'm going to do that is so that I will not have to wash that stupid RV again. I'll just hose it down and all the bugs will just come off. So
you're going to do the ceramic coating by yourself? I heard that's like the big thing now. So
yeah. So I've done it on my truck. I've done it on my wife's car. I've done it on my motorcycle. So I think I'm ready to do it on the RV. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of work on the RV just because of the surface area is so big. But my neighbor gave me an idea. He says, just do the front part, that where all the bugs hit. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. I'll do the front part. I'll start there. And then if I can do the sides, I'll do the sides. And if I can do the back, I'll do the back. I mean, I don't have to do it all at once. But knowing me, I'll probably get most of it done tomorrow.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'll be busy with that, and then once the suspension components arrive, I'll be working on that. I think this shop, they were going to charge me, I don't know, $600-700 for it, and they lost a bunch of money because a lot of the parts I don't need to replace; they're still good. So if I do it myself, not taking time into consideration, everything is going to cost me under $200.
Wow.
So I'll spend that the remaining money I saved. I'll spend that on fuel and take the RV far away from here.
Trying to get away from the Houston heat.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm going to stay in Houston for maybe a month and a half, because there's just too much going on. We're kind of in flux. There are too many unknowns, and things can happen. So I want to be where most of our customers are. Yeah. So I'm going to be around the Houston area, for probably a few months.
Good.
Yeah. But that's good because I'll just keep working on the RV until I can just take it and go.
Awesome.
So, Mack, you have a good weekend, and everybody out there, have a great weekend, and be safe.
You guys have a good one.